Hey everybody! So yesterday you learned what functions are. If you didn't, watch my video. It's called Introduction to Functions or something like that, just basically explaining what a function is, and I introduce you to the function machine. You fill out some tables. Now today we're going to talk a little bit more about ways to represent a function. Okay, so how do we represent function? Okay, so here I have a function right here. Cat, house, use, stem, and then T, E, U. So something is taking cat and giving me a T. Something's giving me house and giving me an E, and U and a U, and stem. What would stem give you? Okay, so there's some kind of function going on where we have a rule. And the rule is that I'm taking a word and plugging into the function, which is then taking the last letter of that word and then giving me the last letter. So in this case, stem would give me an M. And the word buzz would give me a Z. Something like that. Okay? That's how functions work. You plug something in, you get something out. So we have our inputs, we have our outputs, and so on and so forth. So here's another function that takes 2 and gives me a 7. A 5 gives me a 10, negative 2 of 3, 0 of 5. So we have another function where I'm taking some number, and what is that function doing to that number? Well, if you notice, looking at them, it's adding 5 to it and giving you out the new number. So, if I plug in a negative 4, well, negative 4 plus 5 is 1. And what plus 5 is 8? Well, that would be 3, because 3 plus 5 is 8. Okay? So in mathematics, a function is a rule that defines a relationship between two sets. Okay? A function creates exactly one output for one input. So here's a diagram below that shows the function add2. For example, I'm going to move myself over. If I have a function add2, if I plugged in the number 3, one input would give me one output. The rule, or the function, is add2. So 3 plus 2 gives me 5. Now, there are 4 ways to represent adding a function. We show that with the table, where we have our inputs and our outputs, and we write them side by side so we know which ones line up. So like negative 2 to 0, negative 1 to 1, 0 to 2, and so on and so forth. Another way of representing a function is called a function map. A map draws arrows. So if I plugged in a negative 2, it gives me out a 0. A negative 1 gives me out a 1. A 0 gives me out a 2. Okay? The next way of doing it is by graphing. Okay? Each one of these inputs and outputs is a point on a graph, like the point negative 2, 0. And negative 1, 1. So negative 1, 1, and negative 2, 0, and 0, 2. And so you can take your outputs and your inputs and you can plot them and create a graph. And the last one is an equation. So for example, this equation, I'm adding 2 to it. So I'm taking y, I'm taking x, and I'm adding 2 to it to get my output. The inputs are my x's, my outputs are our y's. And that's how we show function. Table, a map, an equation, and a graph. Okay? So here's another one. So here's the function map over. Negative 2 to negative 6. Negative 1 to negative 3. 0 to 0, 1 to 3, 2 to 6. What am I doing? Okay, well, it's kind of tricky. So if I take it and I put it on the table, it would look like this. Negative 2 to negative 6, negative 1, negative 3. I could even graph it, and it would look something like this on the graph. Well, what I'm actually doing is I'm multiplying by 3. So my equation would be whatever 3 is, whatever x is, you multiply that by 3. 0 times 3 is 0, 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6, and so on and so forth. So now it's your turn. I'm going to give you 4 options. You pick which one doesn't belong. So for example, move my picture here. Maybe I don't even need the video, but hey, I've already started recording, so we're going to go with it. Here are 4 options. 3 of them work together, 1 of them does not. So 0 to negative 3, 1 to 2, 0, -3, 1, -2. So those are all working. So this is saying whatever I'm plugging in, am I subtracting 3? Well, 4 minus 3 is 1. 3 minus 3 is 0. 2 minus 3 is -1. Those are working, so it's got to be D. Well, let's look and see if it matches up. So I should have the point 0, -3. 0, -3. I don't have that. 1, -2. 2, -1. Uh-oh. I don't have those, so D is wrong. Okay? So anyways, that's a way to represent functions. There's other ways here. If you want, you can pause it, check these ones out. Here's another one. We get into exponents and stuff like that. But I just wanted to show you 4 different ways to represent functions, and now I want you guys to try it out. Okay, so with that being said, hope this helps, and use other videos. Check it out. See if you can find out different ways to represent functions. Thanks, guys.